All right, guys, welcome to Meta Talk. Yeah, screw it. This is Meta Talk. We're doing a tier list between us three here. As usual,
Mm-hmm.
it's myself, Dean, and Nico, and we're just doing this because literally this weekend the Chicago tournament is happening this weekend, and we figured we'd release what our tier list or what we believe the tiers are kind of like now, or what the meta is for English, and then maybe we'll revisit this at the end of the season and see how wrong or right we were.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the first thing we're gonna do getting into this is we're gonna kind of just define the tiers, just so everyone's on the same page of how we'd like define these. I guess first we'll just start with the easiest. S is kind of like sets that define the meta and sets that you need to be prepared to play against and are expected to be in like the top cut. Would you guys agree with that definition?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe definition to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
S is like.
go ahead.
Oh, I was
You
gonna
are,
say like
yeah, go
S
ahead.
is like S is like what you bring to the tournament if you want to win. Like hands down. Like if your entire goal is to take it all, you bring an S deck.
I think not even that, but also include like when you're building your deck, these are the decks you look at to make sure your deck can actually fight these decks.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like they're basically kind of meta defining decks. I guess A tier is like a deck that's relatively equal or so against S tier, but they just don't. They're like missing tools to make it as consistent or defining as S tier, or maybe they're not as unique as the S tier sets. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, I always think of like the tiers as like not what you'll see, but like what you play. Because like most people reference the tier list for what they're gonna do,
Mhm.
not like what their opponent's gonna do half the time. I see A tier as like you're worried that too many people know how to beat like the S tier decks, and you're willing to take like a like very small hit to performance to play something a little bit different. That's the way I always see it.
I think my view on it was more like, similarly to what you said, it's missing a couple of tools to really be as good as S tier. But if it, like, I don't know how to properly describe it, I guess. You're still, whenever you're deck building, you're still considering kind of like the matchups in A tier.
Yes.
Probably not as much as you are the matchups in S tier, but it's still kind of like a consideration in the back of your mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a long time ago I described A tier as the tier where it's like you expect these sets to do well, and if it wins a tournament, you're not surprised, but it's not like 100% likely that this is the deck to bring. You know, something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
I guess
So
yeah.
it's fair.
B tier is just things that sets that I guess kind of have like one singular game plan, not a lot of tools. Still fairly powerful in the things that it does do. Like it does like one thing very well, but maybe not as flexible as the A or S tier decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a point to add to maybe the B tier decks is I would say the decks at S and A can still play at like a suboptimal kind of like condition. Like let's say you kind of get screwed over a little bit early game and they can recover pretty easily. Once you start dropping from that in like B or C tier, if you have kind of like a really bad spot in the game, it becomes a lot more difficult to recover from.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Definitely, like it's kind of like these matchups when you like play against these decks, or if you would consider these, if you sat, if like I guess if they made top eight, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty good. But like if they won the event, that'd be like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that reaction. And then I think we can kind of agree for the most part. Everything below B is just basically like
You really like this set.
you play the set
Or
because you
yeah.
enjoy it. You're not playing it because it's the best set. And a lot of these sets, as you go deeper down, it loses more consistency, and you become way more narrow on your game plans. And like you can't really divert from that game plan, unlike other decks that would be like an S or A tier.
Right.
Yeah, I think like anything below B is just kind of all kind of jumbled together. Like there's not much difference between them. Maybe just a little bit here and there, depending on when the set was printed, maybe. But it's probably about it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the good shit now that we defined our tier list. You guys want to start from the top or bottom and work our way up?
So before, I think we should kind of like define one other thing real quick.
Okay.
How are we placing decks within tiers? So like for me, I don't like being like, well, this is the number one deck. I'm more like saying like these decks are all really good and they each have their own strengths and weaknesses. I don't like picking like this is the number one deck in the meta like a couple other folks do.
Oh, okay. You mean like tiers within the tiers, basically?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that, really. Do you guys want to try to do that, or do you guys want to just like?
I would prefer not. I just kind of like.
I'll just make a snide comment on what I think is the best one in the tier, and then we'll move on.
Okay. All right.
I think that's acceptable.
Yeah. 'Cause I kind of feel like things within the same tier are already so close to each other that like they're basically all the same like level of play.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you guys want to do, I guess, start from S, or do you want to start all the way from the bottom and work our way to the top?
Man, I think we can, to spice it up, we could probably start from the bottom.
Shoot. Okay, we'll start. Fairy Tale, Disgaea, Haruhi, Aprilia.
Hold on.
Let's not go this
That's
deep.
That's F tier. Okay, so I think Fairy Tale and Haruhi are decent spots to put this.
Yeah. What else?
Maybe Lock Horizon, I think, might be F.
Lock Horizon is
Oh,
F
no,
until it beats me, but
You're right.
Oh, man.
Is there anything else in F? Do we want to throw up there?
yeah, Aprilia.
Monogatari. I think Monogatari is F.
Oh yeah, I forgot Monogatari.
English Monogatari is the saddest story.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for all you Monogatari fans.
Kill la Kill's got anti-heal. That alone makes it better.
That's F tier. So I guess, do we want to move on to B tier?
Madoka.
I don't know if I would put Monica F. I think it's at least D.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so F
I think Monica's D. Yeah, I think Monica's D.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
And anything else in F here? Is Fate F for Fate?
Nah.
All right. Is there anything? Yeah. Or Niseko? Is Nisekoi that bad?
No, Nisekoi has a functioning level 1 combo and a pseudo functioning top end.
Yeah, that's much better than this other stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Angel Beats goes F.
No. Angel Beats is fine.
Yeah.
Angel Beats is fine. It's D.
Yeah, it has like different things. So yeah, we'll start with Angel Beats. I mean, Angel Beats has a level 1 combo if they want. They have overstated cards. It's not like a super great deck, but it does what it wants to do fairly fine, right?
Yeah. Kill la Kill is also, I would say, D tier.
Oh yeah, Kill la Kill. I like Kill la Kill's deck manipulation and stuff, but it's so pigeonholed the way it has to play. It kind of.
Yeah, I guess we put Disgaea here also.
Yeah, just D for Disgaea.
5 free freshes. It like almost feels like it's better than D, but it really isn't. You only need one hand going into level 3, though. That's pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a deck that like has almost no flexibility on how to play it.
It can play 8 Azusa's.
You're right, and it can also play 8 Two Souls. Nisekoi, right? D?
Yeah.
Pretty functioning deck, just kind of right?
It's nowhere near as good as the
English Diva. English Diva should be F, right?
Yeah. No,
like, even when they triple soundless, they can't win.
I think English Diva is D.
I don't know. I almost agree with Dean here that English Diva's F.
English Diva's some boom.
I guess you're right.
What does the top end do? I think that's the main thing.
That's
just
nothing.
Ping for ones, right?
It only has heals.
If they cancel, yeah. I think it actually is F. Maybe it's in between, but we don't have in between, so I'm not gonna make a tier for that. Anything else in D? Oh, Aprilia in D, right?
Yeah.
I think Aprilia is like pretty mediocre, but the top end can be like crazy wild if you get like what's the combo? I forget.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Not everybody can play like Broderick though, so I don't think that's
Broderick's pretty good. What was I 2-3 and just died to that? That was a good game.
Yep. You can't lie to me. Like this guy has as much utility, has actually more utility than Madoka. So you put Madoka in that D tier.
I think Madoka's. I would actually maybe argue for C tier, but I don't mind putting it into D tier.
Because I would money match any Madoka deck with my Disgaea deck.
Look, I agree.
I am down for that. We can make this happen in Chicago, brother.
Oh no.
I agree that like Madoka could possibly be C tier here, but I wouldn't complain if someone put in D tier. It just its top end is literally I need a heal until I win. Right?
What? What are you talking about? You run
Oh
Homura.
wait, I forgot the second set's out in English. I always forget that.
Yeah, you
All
can
right.
run Homura at clock kick.
I clock kick the field you don't have.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's good.
Yeah. What are we
Yeah.
throwing in C?
Two Loveroo.
English to lovers, pretty C tier.
Yeah. I
Excel
always like
World.
its top end. It's like, oh yeah. I feel so bad for Excel World. I feel like
Man.
Excel, if AOT didn't exist,
Yeah, if
Pretty
AOT
much.
didn't exist, it would be B or A.
B or A for sure.
Yeah, which
I'd
is
almost
really
say
sad.
A because it's so solid. You never need a climax to do anything, and like one clock can clocking yourself once can get you 2 cards, which is like
Yeah.
pretty good. Oh yeah, it just sucks that the meta's the way it is.
No Game, No Life, maybe? I don't actually know what that set does.
I think it's probably C. Maybe Kit can argue against it.
I
but-
would argue B just because I think 8 standby list is really cool and really like, you can't
I've also
really
never
play
seen
around
it played.
Yeah,
I've actually never seen it played.
the biggest thing is no one I think only people who enjoyed the set in English bought it into it because everyone just assumed it was garbage. But legitimately, I think the 8 standby list is really solid. It's like a really spooky wallish deck, and the top end you can't play around because it's just like on attack do stuff, and then yeah, it's just unfortunate. I think that a lot of people, just kind of wrote it off so quickly. I think there's an argument to put into B tier. Do you guys?
Throw in B then.
Okay,
Cool. Cinderella Girls.
Yeah,
C or A or C or B? C, right?
C.
C, yeah.
I
I would say original Love Live Sunshine. Or
And
not Love,
Fate.
Love
Yeah,
Live, rather.
OG Love
yeah.
Live, yeah.
Fate, right?
Normal Fate, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to argue there.
Maybe, hold on. We can maybe argue Card Captor Sakura and Batman Ninja.
Oh shoot, I forgot about Batman. Batman is
I think
F.
Batman is probably C and then Sakura.
Batman is spiritually an F deck.
Okay, wait. I want to actually argue about Batman because I hate
Okay.
this deck. Look, the blue deck, the hero deck or weapon deck, it is so bad. I've seen people make lists based on denying their opponent, and then they get in, denying reverses. Then they get into level 3 with that's cool. Your opponent didn't get a combo all game, but they also didn't really lose board all game. Along with the fact that you enter your level 3 game with 2 stock. I don't.
Well, they have the 2/1 that markers the same 2/1 from Grave to become a 10k 2 soul,
yeah,
which is supposed to put pressure on your opponent's board unless they have an early play on board, in which case it does nothing. They have it's pretty booty cheeks, but it's got a Ricky, okay, and it has a self.
It has 2 Rickies. It has 2 Rickies.
Do you understand how bad this F and D tier are?
That's true. You're right. You're right. I guess it could be in C tier, right? Is that reasonable?
I think
Yeah.
C tier is a perfect place for it.
Now, Card Captor is in B tier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Card Captor's
Card
definitely
Captor's
better
B.
than it. Let's throw that up there. I wish we got the Japanese.
There
Card
we
Captor.
go.
All right. I guess now we're arguing about B tier. I think Apocrypha is probably B tier, right?
Dang.
Really?
B
Really?
tier?
Okay, look, I really like the Apocrypha deck. I think you guys already know that. But
I know, but you.
Seems pretty
I'm kind of
it's got mill. It's got bounce back. It's got fixing.
it does have stuff that I give it that. It's just really it's such an awkward deck. The yellow centric deck, the yellow red deck is a mid range tempo deck that plays really crappy level 2s. What's the Mordred? They're 2/1. Are they 9/5 or
2/1,
10/5?
9/5.
Yeah,
2/1, 9/5, 2 soul,
9/5,
though.
2 soul. For 1 stock. You know what else deck does that, but also gets more out of it? What's it called? Why am I blanking so hard? Oh, Konosuba.
Batman
Mega Man-
Ninja.
Batman Ninja. You're right. It's just, yeah. I think. Oh, you guys are arguing it for it to be in B?
It's B or A.
I think it's B tier.
It's definitely not A. I can concede B tier. I think it has the tools to do stuff. It's just limited by its Stallful level 1 game sucks because it only gets to 6k with the climax without support.
And then Mordred also doesn't get power at all,
Yeah.
at level 1. So your
this
level
one
1
hurts.
game's bad.
Now this one hurts me because I would actually half the time I would almost play this in a regional because I think it's just really good deck. Gurren.
Yeah, I think Gurren's solid B.
I think Gurren is the top of B tier because I think that Gurren is the strongest floor that a B tier deck can have.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's definitely somewhere between A and B. I guess we'll just throw it in B right now, and if we decide to change it at the end,
It's that mill. It's that like, oh no,
yeah,
I'm out A. How do I
the
get the
top
second
end is
deck?
so good too.
Damage.
It's just like
Oh yeah,
Sunder is a really good. Yeah,
It's got Sunder. It has like the merge. It's like every package it has is good, right?
yeah.
It's just like it has an unfortunate like utility.
Oh, for sure.
Man, how bad do you feel as a Sunder player if you run into P5 and they play like the one of memory counter?
Like,
Oh man.
gotta play around that, man. Unless they held it since turn 1. Contai.
I would actually argue Kontai's A tier.
I don't think so.
I
You don't think so?
Conte is A tier. Okay, Dean, why do you hate Conte so much?
Yeah.
I really hate Prince as a card. I think that if your opponent plays anything to out Prince, you just kind of lose the game. It's like that's just like how I feel. I feel like if you use like the more Princes you use, the further behind you are in compression, and the harder it is to be outed though. So, but like I think the way I think that like Contai's supposed to be played. I'm not a Contai. I own the deck. I can't win with it though. So you play down Prince, you put down a single Prince, you search a counter, and you have your board, right? And you're supposed to be able to counter to save the Prince and maybe another lane. If your opponent plays any set with bombs, or is like playing AOT where they just don't even have to care about Prince, they can just like run over it. It feels really bad that you wasted that stock for no reason. They don't have a Brainstorm. Like, they have a Magi, which is a good card. But as the game goes on, you would rather have a Brainstorm, but they actually don't even have access to that outside of, like, a Clock Brainstorm. So, like, I feel like the utility as the game goes on is even worse. The Compass is cool. Like, they have a lot of cool stuff. But I don't feel like it's, like, A tier, right? I don't think, like, if you're, like, seriously trying to win a tournament, that this is, like, the deck that has the tools that you would want. I don't think it has, like, the floor that you want. And what does it do at 2? It puts out this like early play killer, and that's it at 2.
Well, the thing is, the early play killer, if it attacks an early play, it keeps the power across turn.
Yeah,
and then but then you're also running counters, and you have the back row that helps power pump. So like it's typically not going to be leaving forward.
A lot of it's like I said though, it hinges on this like level 1 Prince living a turn, right? Like you pay 1 stock to have this level 1 Prince. But like if you play against like Konosuba or Sunshine, and then they bomb your Prince.
Well, even Bang Dream now.
Yeah, like you lose. You actually like unless you put down double Prince, in which case you're like, one of these will live, and then it's like, I don't know, like.
I guess if we're going straight up by kind of like matchups, I guess I would agree that it might fall to B tier, just because a lot of the top tier decks just have a good enough answer to walls to where they just don't care.
Yeah, and then even then, it's like I think like the impact, because like you don't win every lane, right? You're not triple printing someone. People don't play Bismarck.
Well, what's the card that it's what usually like 2 Prints and a Maya, I guess, would be your lane composition. The one that blind stocks on reverse or something.
Do they
if you
do
use an
double
act.
Prints or do they single Prints?
No, yeah. So usually, so I played the list in JP when it was out. To be fair, though,
I have the list upstairs.
Yeah, there was a ban list at the time in JP, but in English there is no ban list, which kind of might change how consistent the list is or the deck is itself. But one thing is, if you don't get that extra stock off of the Maya, like it feels really bad. You blow through a lot of stock in this deck. That's why its top end is usually just Kashima and like Musashi, because you can't really afford to have more than like 6 to 8 stock at level 3. I feel like if you go into level 3 with like 8 or more stock, you feel like you were already winning that game to begin with. And then
it has like stock and hand issues.
Yeah, the weakness to bombs is like the biggest part. The fact that all the top lists can have like ways to just like outperform Prince is like kind of tough. Because back when the set released at the time, 6/5 walls with counters and the back row bump was like pretty insane. You usually one counter would almost like most of the time save 2 lanes for you if you had 2 Prints out. I guess maybe. I feel so bad just putting Kontai in like B tier with like card capture Sakura and stuff like
this
that.
This top end's not the best either.
Yeah. without getting in
I would
reverses
say
and stuff.
high B tier. Like,
Yeah, think
if
about it
we
this
could
way.
make anything, I would say high B tier.
Think about it
But-
this way, Kit. Would you rather play Gurren or Kantai in a tournament right now?
Well, to be fair, my assumption is I assume everyone's going to be playing like Konosuba and a lot of gates, and I was just going to tech anti-salvage.
Checking anti-salvage, yeah.
Yeah. But I think outside of that, like Compass is so good. I guess I can concede it's like top of B maybe or something like that, or like bottom A. I feel like it's so
top of B, bottom A, but I think at
it's
the
so
current,
blended right
like,
there.
in the current metagame, I would probably just put it in B, just because, like we said, a lot of the topper or like a lot of the decks above it just have easy ways to deal with it and make its life hell.
Yeah, I guess yeah. I don't think I can really argue against that, really.
Yeah. So I think there might be 2 more decks that belong in B. Let's argue about Revue Starlight and GGO, I guess, and whether they belong in A or B tier.
All
I
right,
don't know if either of those do.
which one do you
Well,
want
I
to
know
talk about first?
GGO. Man, you're just bad, Nico. GGO's S tier.
You're right. I honestly think GGO is probably B tier, personally.
I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Yeah. I've tried a couple of different builds, and Jason will probably hate me for this, but like I've tried a couple of different builds out. Each of them just seems like there's a fatal flaw. And like the fact that it feels like you're legitimately just wannabe Sunshine is like so. Like
Yeah,
it just hurts.
It just feels so bad sometimes.
I would say the only reason I could maybe see pushing GGO up to A tier is the 2-1 support that can just randomly tell like AOT they can't play the game.
Oh, you have to throw out 4 of those that are level 3 turn.
Well, to be fair too, I think most people play the TD combo because they were like baited into playing the TD combo because that's what everyone said.
Well, it's not AOT.
It messes up AOT. Like that, I think like the fact that it has like 2 tools in it that really messes with AOT and most wall decks could push it into A tier.
Yeah, and like I said, the 2-1 support is good, and having early plays out on the board, the fact that it can just drop 3 early plays for 4 stock is
you get 2 hills
really
too,
good.
right?
Yeah. The problem is they don't do anything.
Yeah. So what are we doing with this? Are we throwing this in A, or I feel like it almost deserves A just because of the way the matchup hit against
It
AOT.
has Ricky
Yeah.
twin drive. It has a twin drive Ricky and has
Yeah.
a twin cut. It is A tier, sir.
Okay, I agree.
All
with you.
right.
I forgot about
All
the
right.
twin cut. It, dude, GGO
I
has
will
one
say
of the best level 0
low
games,
A
man.
tier. Low A
Yeah.
tier I can give in.
Good. Now, Revu, I hate all idle garbage. It is an F tier.
No,
man.
dude.
I mean, I would agree. I think Revue is in A tier for the most part.
Why do you think-
Okay,
So
here's my
you play
argument.
the deck, so tell me, why do you think Revue's an A tier?
This is
in
why.
the current metagame.
In the current meta game, I think the list people should be playing would either be the banana level 1 combo with the blue top end, or the banana combo with the yellow top end, or standby with the yellow top end. You could also get away with the 8 gates, but I think 8 gates is a little bit more risky because you're forced to have 3 stock going into level 1 most games, which is kind of tough sometimes. Outside of that, most of the top ends are like really powerful and uninteractive. The blue one is uninteractive. Its weakness is that if you clear the board against it, then they have to swing really big, which kind of sucks. If you clear the board against the yellow top end, it doesn't matter because they were going to put your cards back in your hand anyway and like swing in for 4 damage. And if you cancel, then you got to take 2 instances of 2 damage each, which is like really good at closing out games. Like if you're at if I was at 3-1 and someone dropped the triple wind trigger combo on level 3, I just assume I'm dead there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so spooky.
So I think my big counter argument to that is the set has kind of like a really, I would say, just terrible level 1 game.
That's
It has a
Banana
pencil in the middle.
Banana is just not very good.
yeah, I can agree. Banana's
And then
not
what are
very
you
good.
doing at level 2 on top of that? Like you
Well-
can maybe run the Kauriko or the Futaba, but like what is actually your level 2 game? Are you just chilling?
So the way I've played it for the most part is depending on how the game state is, you either chill there or you drop down like 3 changers into the level 3 because that thing's so powerful. I think a lot of people just sleep on that for some reason. Like against a lot of sets like AOT and stuff, you're not going to be able to like win the hand size war or whatever you want to call it. So the best thing to do is just let them have their hand size, and then you bounce everything to their hand from the change, and then they have to discard like 3 cards out of their hand. So it's like you
How
killed
do
them
you
anyway.
bounce their hexproof cards?
Oh, this,
Yeah.
this is also true. I always forget that. Maybe the players I play are just bad.
Wait a minute, can Karuko bounce back row? The level 3?
You can't
No, because
bounce
that also has
back row.
hexproof. Welcome to AOT privilege. Anyway,
What a good card.
Yeah. Well, I guess outside of like the hexproof stuff, I still think it's pretty powerful. I think standby wind trigger combo is really good too, just because you play more of a wall game. You have 2K counters. The deck kind of mills itself very easily. So if you're in a crappy position, you can kind of get yourself out of it for the most part and not feel bad. I definitely the level 1 game is probably its weakest point. I will concede that.
Yeah.
But as Dean puts it, has Ricky, it has Futaba. Oh, it has 4K 2 souls at level 0. That's always spooky.
Yeah,
Sounds
that is really good.
broken.
Yeah.
Put that in A tier, I guess.
All right. You convinced me, I
It
guess.
has soul damage. That's half a plus.
Yeah.
UA did steal my soul with Review over in Texas, so I guess we can give it A tier.
It's a +2 if the Futaba or if the card in the middle lives across a turn, because 1 damage is half a plus, and then a card is a plus as well. That's +2. It's pretty powerful.
Oh man.
I hate you, Dean.
Yeah. I just think the top end of like your choices are just strong enough to like consider it A tier, as long as you get to the end of the game without like destroying your hand.
Okay, so we're on A tier now, right?
Yeah. Oh wait,
Yeah.
one last thing to talk about Review. It's top end. You only need 2 cards because most of the time, well, unless you're playing yellow, the other level 3s they summon other level 3s out to the field for 1 extra stock. So it's kind of efficient
Like
in
with
that
no
case.
hand. It's just like the Skya.
Yep. It's the Sky except idols. So F tier. All right. All right. What else? We're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, so ready for my hot take?
Yep.
I really hate this set. I think it's like really meta defining for what it is.
Bang Dream?
And-
You're gonna
and
put
do
Bang
we-
Dream in A tier?
No, we can argue that because you have to build around this retarded set, and every single time you go to a tournament that it's S tier. But in all honesty, power wise, I think AOT, is
AOT?
like A tier.
So I agree, but that's kind of like
You have to play around it. You
yeah,
have to
that's
play
what I'm
around it.
saying. The problem
Look,
with
every
that
S
is
tier
we
deck doesn't care
define.
about it.
Yeah,
Every S tier deck doesn't care about it. That's the thing.
Man, is everyone like coming over to my way of thought? Did I ruin everything?
so I think the main problem is, and why I would say I would also love to throw it in A tier, but I think technically from how
It's
we
only
define
S
it,
tier
it
because
belonged
everyone
in
plays
it.
it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that 20%, it's like 15 to 20% of every regional is like people playing the same deck. Like that bolsters its like relevance, and that's not even like I don't even think it's like a meta strength thing though, because it's like if people weren't playing AOT, I don't think like anything would really like change or right, because like maybe like a couple B tier decks would like move up a little bit, but that's it.
I think if AOT wasn't so defining as like the meta boogeyman, I guess, I think a lot of like a lot of B and C sets would actually just start moving up. But because they have to we have to find ways to play around Aaron, or like ways to not care about Aaron, it like suppresses a lot of sets that would have like been very, very strong when they came out and stuff. But just because we have to play around it, it's kind of tough. But I don't know. I almost want to put A also, but I feel like we're just kind of forced to put it into S because of how the rest of the community handles the deck.
And like we
I
said,
think, like strength wise, it's like A though.
I think I can absolutely agree with that, especially nowadays. There's so many sets that don't really care about Aaron. The only thing that's making AOT very spooky is like the combination of Maneuver Gear and Mikasa. Those 2 cards together are really spooky because it's just
There's like
you can
there's a lot of
always get
things,
your level 3 game no matter what, like early on, and like milling an extra card, it always feels good.
It has a lot of weaknesses though, like especially at 2, like because of how bad its like 2 is, and like its top end no longer being like so oppressive as it used to be. I mean, it's like annoying, but it's not oppressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it like, I mean, like strength wise, it's like A tier, but okay, we can put an S.
So I think the reason why we put it in S is kind of like what we defined earlier, though. It's a lot of people are playing around this particular set.
In fact,
They're
you want
building
my
their
hot take?
decks around this set.
The
And I
only
think
other A tier deck in this list, if you're not putting AOT there, is Sao.
really?
Yes.
That is a really hot take.
Okay, look.
I think Sao is S tier, but
So we have no A tier decks left. Okay, put that all in S tier. That's what Nico just said.
hold on. Did you
I
think
think there's
Persona 5 is
arguments.
also S tier?
I hate Persona 5. I have never sat across from that deck and thought, wow, I can win this game. I have never sat across. It doesn't matter what I'm playing. It doesn't matter. I'm like, oh boy, they're healing 15 times at level 2. What am I going to do? Oh boy, they're going to bounce my entire board at level 3. Oops. If they're really smart, looks like they just confirmed 6 burn 3s this turn on me after their attacks. Their level 0 game is a runner and a Futaba, like 2 very powerful cards, back behind a global. Their level 1 gives them the ability to not only wall out almost every relevant deck while getting marker compression, but then it also gives them, like, they have like infinite mill for like bad situations, and they have the ability to bounce like problematic cards like Aaron and Puck. It's too much. It's like, based off of utility alone, Persona is like the best.
Oh man, dude, Dean did such a good argument there.
He did.
You
Hold on. I have. Oh wait, no. Shoot. I was gonna say it has no way to ditch outs, but then I remember Ryuji's.
Oh yeah, no.
So-
So this ditch out lets you mill 4
I have
and bounce a
opened-
character.
I have literally been out 8 climaxes on the second turn of the game, and like milled my deck out by the third. Like that's like how much mill it has. It's disgusting. It is like, it hurt for hand that game, but that's understandable. But,
I think one thing that P5, like, I think Dean gives it a little bit too much credit in its top end. I always feel like it's top end. I've played P5 for a long time. I feel like its top end for the most part is always like so RNG heavy sometimes. Like sometimes you just need that burn 1 and you're not in a position where you have the resources to spend to set up like guaranteed stuff.
but isn't that your build? Like you choose to go the more defensive build, which is fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I think that build's good. But like there are people that have built P5 to be more offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the mono yellow builds in particular.
Yeah, I'm always building stuff for the most part around that like mid-range game when I have like decks like this that have like the walls and I just want to sit at 2 and heal and just like poke them to death with my like pings for 1s and 2s until I'm forced into playing Joker. I mean, I guess that could be part of the reason why I think a top end is
The top end doesn't need a climax either. That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's a really, really strong argument for like the top end being really consistent, but at the same time, I still feel it's like pretty shaky. I still agree that it's like S tier material after your arguments, Dean, but
Thank you.
yeah, I like, yeah, I would need to see like, I would need to see
Calling
like
card is
setups.
also disgusting.
Yeah.
It always draws your opponent a climax.
Dude, yeah, but calling card in general is
Especially
so
if they have a mill
powerful.
runner on board, you know the top card of their extra
All
climax.
right, real talk. If the set didn't have calling card, you wouldn't play it anymore, right?
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah.
Suck.
But like that's the main
Wow.
thing of the set.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
That's like being like, wow, if you didn't have maneuver gear, you wouldn't be playing AOT.
it also has a free fresh counter. It has like it also has the coolest tech in the game for like every top end, right? What's the timing on this thing? Is it attack phase or is it draw phase? This might even destroy Konosuba.
Which
I have to look at this card. The cat bus. The cat bus is so good.
Cat bus.
Oh my
The
god.
cat
Are you actually arguing for Morgana Bus?
I actually am, because you look at a Bang Dream player that's playing Yukina, like as soon as they hit level 3, and you just stare at them and shove your entire board under this thing that goes to the back row.
To defend Dean here, I hate it. I hate defending Dean so much. But to defend Dean here, like, Cat
That's
Bus
like
only
an
takes
easy
Cat Bus
one
takes one
slot.
slot. It's easy to get into your hand when you need it. In some of these
Nice, every on
matchups,
reverse
yeah,
offense.
sometimes in some matchups you're just like, got it, boys, yeah, you know, and then you just win because of it.
Yeah.
I hate you, Dean.
At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase. So, or no, at the beginning of main phase. So it even stops Konosuba.
Oh God.
You can stare at like the Megumi top end and just have everything under this card in your back row. I'm sorry, that card is like too good of a tech. Like you can't just like ignore this like tech card that people aren't playing because they think one slot's too much.
I guess so. I think we're all in agreement for the most part after Dean's super compelling argument, right? S tier.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, we'll throw it up
Cool. I hate that deck.
there. All right.
All right. Since we've argued about AOT, let's just get rid of that real quick. We're putting it in S tier, right? Just
are we all in
because-
agreement S tier? Because so
it's a reluctant
yeah.
S, but it's still S.
it's a reluctant S.
The fact that you have to consider all of your deck building options have to kind of like revolve around, well, how badly does AOT fuck me? I think that's honestly the only reason it makes it an S at that point.
Yeah, I kind of agree. That's like, it's too meta defining is the issue. Like,
Yeah.
okay, legitimately, if AOT disappeared, I think like there would be no meta defining set.
That'd be nice. It'd be
Yeah.
very nice.
Man, it would open the gates up for a lot of different sets to like actually
You
shine.
see like a lot of garbage winning because like they'd be able to keep hand. They're like one struggle.
All right, let's get rid of
A.
Sao.
You guys really think Sal's just A tier?
All
Yeah,
right,
I never fear that deck.
oh man,
So here's the thing. I guess so. Man, I'm about to defeat my own argument. So I think Gold Bar Book is A tier. I think it's solid A tier.
whoa. Okay, first of all, Gold Bar
But I
Book-
guess
Gold
Go
Bar Book
ahead.
is like pretty solid solitaire deck in my opinion. It doesn't really care what's going on. It kind of does what AOT's doing, except not as degenerate, where it's just pulling cards out of the deck, so you're higher chances to cancel, always setting up really good hand. Mid game, I think now mid game it has like a lot of good utility stuff going on. It has like level 3 early plays that are always really good. Healers, other things like that. I think the Xenon Restand's absolutely insane, and not enough people are playing that card. But oddly enough, I don't think Gold Bar Book is the deck. I think Gold Bar Gate is.
I think really.
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
I feel so dumb for saying that. I actually think Gold Bar Gate is really, really good. It does like it opens up to you being able to play the anti damage counter more easily. Your top end just becomes the Gold Bar combo. You're playing Blank Gate for the most part, just so you can get more hand size on triggers because it's a good trigger. The Asuna Mill, was it Mill 9 or 11? I forget.
That's 11.
It's 11.
Yeah.
As dumb as that card is
Gives
in
you the free
RNG,
fresh.
as dumb as that card is in RNG based, it's still like relatively consistent because it mills 11. You're usually burning like 2 to 3 for the most part. At least that's what been my experience with it. And it's once again that's another card that doesn't care if your opponent has a field or not. I think it's comparable to the book, but I think that version's just better.
So you don't even think Standby is the play anymore? Because I think one of the so maybe I just have different experiences, but to me, if I'm playing against a Sal player and I see Standby, I get scared because I feel like if they're gonna
always
high roll
a
me,
Sal.
yeah, if they're gonna high roll me, I'm just like I just can't play the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think Standby Sao is a super good deck still. I think it's like one of the best wall decks, unless you guys say otherwise. Do you guys think any other wall deck is better than Standby Sao?
Man, having 10-5 level 2s at level 1 that if you somehow manage to reverse them, you can just pay 1 and rest it? I don't know. Seems
counter's
pretty
really
trashy to me.
Yeah,
Their
They have a
counter's
split
pretty
counter on top of that too? Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think it's the best wall deck, and like Sao is like when it comes to solitaire decks, I think Sao is the deck to play if you just want to not care about your opponent for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it A or S tier?
My
It's A.
argument would really.
Look how
A?
few decks are in A tier.
Oh,
We need some A tier decks.
Whoops.
Do you-
I
what
was
else-
a-
what
I was
else in
about
the
to
last
I was
five
about to
are gonna be
argue that ReZero is actually A tier.
Okay.
I think ReZero is A tier.
Okay. Look, ReZero's the best deck.
You know what? I can put Sao in A tier as long as we're in agreement. It's another one of those decks where you're like, bottom S, top of A type of deal,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's agreeable. And I think this. So for me, I think that's the same thing with ReZero. I think it's top of A, bottom S.
Okay. If I told you
Okay,
about
dude.
if I told you about how good this Betelgeuse top end is,
All right, Dean, sell us right now.
oh well, your opponent always tries to play around cancel burns by just eating the damage, so it's like instant lethal.
It's pretty good.
They just take the damage instead of canceling. That's how it wins. I don't know what to say. Like it has Ricky, it has clean cut, it has like on demand mill. It's battle phase,
So the
it's
thing
a little
is-
bit worse than calling card. Like what makes you think it's A tier, right? That's I guess the bigger thing. Like what in ReZero is lacking to where you think, wow, this like set of only good cards. Well, it's not only this set that has a lot of good cards and a lot of garbage is
So for the most part, I think everyone is in agreement that ReZero, like the best deck is just good stuff deck, right? Like the yellow blue
I
stuff
think so.
or yellow or red
Yellow
blue
red,
also.
yellow blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either of them, just good stuff deck.
Do you know how strong cats are?
I know how strong cats are. You've shown me.
We said yellow blue, dude.
Yeah.
So we'll just talk about yellow first. When you put yellow in the deck, your top end your game becomes all about compression through using felts and free freshes and using your rems early to hopefully get markers. I think the issue is that so many decks can handle the early plays now that rem you can't really run away with the game anymore like you could before with rem. And then I think I think that's one of the strongest points of having that rem in your deck for blue for the most part.
I just assume Rem dies every time I put it down.
Yeah, me too at this point. But
It's always
before
a happy
I
accident
would be
when it
able to get
doesn't.
like 5 markers and sit there and laugh like maniac or whatever, and like my opponent's never gonna kill me because my deck is 8 climaxes with 10 cards like every refresh. The next thing about it though is that one of the strongest things yellow has is the compression game through the felt, getting the extra stock every time it attacks is really good. But then decks like Konosuba abuse that because you're pulling cards out to get shuffled back into your deck basically. I think there is an argument that by playing felt, you force the Konosuba player to do that, which means they have to build up more stock to kill you.
It also helps you use the tap counter.
Yeah.
It has a searchable tap counter.
Yeah. Like the biggest thing is tap counter. I don't think not a lot of players play around it or anything like that. But the one downside to tap counter is like if we're expecting like a 20% showing for AOT and we're afraid of untargetable cards, we just kind of like yellow just loses to that, right? Just one Armin in the back row loses you the game.
You're right.
Because like you're like the yellow blue deck strategy literally is to exhaust your opponent and out heal and out compress them until they lose the game because you're not.
But AOT
you're
like
go ahead.
AOT struggles against Rem though, right? I mean, like, because Rem they don't have good answers to early plays.
So the thing is,
I mean,
like,
I guess modern decks are starting to play him.
Yeah, I think a lot of AOT players finally kind of transitioned more into like playing the early play Aaron if your opponent has a level 3 on the board. They also have like I still think Mikasa early play is really good. Not the healer I'm saying, but playing the top check 5 on play basically because I think that's a really good back-to-back way to do back-to-back Aaron combos and stuff like that. And I mean some people still play the healer as well, which also runs around, which makes it really hard to remove off the board if you don't play counters or set counters that is. But yeah, the only other argument for ReZero would be the red blue deck, right?
Ooh, with the puck wall, it's level 2, so it can't be bombed.
Yeah.
And then you have ReZero actually has the best anti-change counter in the game. Is that worth talking about?
What, the Amelia one?
I think that's agreeable. I don't think what's there to talk about? I agree with you 100% that it's the best anti-change counter in the game.
That's really strong. That's a really good card.
It is. But what's more is there to say about it? Like, it's a really, really strong card. You're probably going to be playing like 1 or 2 of it in almost every build, right?
You're playing probably 2.
Yeah.
1 to 2, yeah. I don't know. It just feels like it should be S tier, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe it's not. I don't know. It feels like an S tier.
So I think nowadays, I think my main kind of problem with it is the top end.
I personally am going to be playing ReZero, okay? Because you're not playing Betelgeuse or Betty. Well, Betty sucks, but you're not playing Betelgeuse.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get it into S tier. Dion, are you okay with it putting it in A tier, or what do you think?
I think I personally think it's the same thing as Sao. It's like, if we're gonna say anything, it's high A, low S.
Sure.
Okay. I guess I'll put it up here. I mean, in general, anyway, I think, but the difference between A tier and S tier is so minute that, like,
yeah,
it's
we're arguing like
we're splitting hairs,
really
like,
small. Yeah,
we're splitting hairs here to the point that, like, like, this has extra 500 power, so blah blah blah, But yeah.
All right, let's get rid of two of these really easily. Love Light Sunshine, yeah, that's S tier.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hey,
All right, let's
you
explain
accidentally
why.
get a soul trigger and you lose.
You what?
Accidentally get a soul trigger and lose?
Yeah, it's really cool. You stare at them and you're like, this is a swing for 2 when I have 1 soul trigger left in my 15 card deck. It's time. Oops. Now he is 2-0. Guess I'm dead. That's pretty much like sums it up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so I think the main reason
Sunshine.
is
All right.
yeah. The Sunshine has a really good level 0 game. It has anti-runners, so it kind of just poops on AOT and a lot of other decks that rely on runners for pluses. You have Power Pump in that too, and your own Mill Runner, so that's already pretty disgusting. Kanon level 0 is one of the best level 0s they've ever printed.
Yeah.
What is there? Your level 1 game?
Dude.
Go ahead.
Level 1 game, it hurts AOT, and it's like super consistent. And the deck doesn't necessarily need to do the combo to actually function as a good deck, because
No, I don't play Sunshine, but every time I see these lists, it's like 3 colors at 1, and like I'm always like, if I pass at like 0-6, does this deck function?
It depends on their current hand, but like
chances are, I think no.
No, most of the time no, because a lot of time after the first. No, I mean, the Sunshine still functions as a deck, like, perfectly fine at 0 if you pass at 0-6. Reasoning being is that usually by that point, you've already shaped your hand into what color your main color is going to be going in.
Yeah.
Like, you might force them to play an extra 0 on the front row because, say, you lock them into red, or you lock them into blue, or even yellow. Yellow is actually the best one to go into because you can just mill your entire deck and find more yellow cards to play.
That's what I was thinking of, right?
But there's people who've tried to do that. Unless you open very poorly, you're gonna be able to like play around being color locked. And then
I feel like you need to open really poorly.
Yeah.
For it to,
I will
have
agree.
an
I do
impact.
think that Chica or the who is it? Is it Chica Yo? Is that the combo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like the most disgusting thing they've ever printed in this game.
Oh, I agree. It's,
So
they get to have their early or their late game at level 2 as early as 2-1 sometimes.
It's like disgustingly strong.
The fact that they buffed each other, they're all not always, but 90% of the time they're going to be behind a level support. You also probably run 2-3k counters in the deck, so your only out is like, bottom decking or sending them to stock for the most part.
Yeah, I think
even if you con on them, or you have a deck that runs the generic like reverse anti-change or whatever, or send to waiting room, they have this card called con on in the back row.
Well, you're usually just too far behind. Like, that's the thing, is like, even if you answer it, like, they paid so little for it and they did so much that you're like already behind.
Yeah. The fact that deck has so many tools to confirm their top check also pretty much.
Oh yeah, their level 1 combo being a bomb too, even more than the top checks. Like,
yeah,
the combo is disgusting, and then they have the bomb.
I think I think Sunshine mid-range game is so absurd compared to any other deck, right? Because and the double early play is just so powerful. It's easy to protect those cards. There's cards built into basically designed to protect those cards and just make everything even more consistent. It's absolutely absurd. One other thing that not a lot of people really ever talk about is the fact that if you actually do get into a position where you're pretty screwed, the deck actually functions pretty decently as like a compression deck until level 3 as well. Like, I've had games where I've had to field Mari at level 2 multiple times just because I couldn't do the early plays because I was in such a bad position. But I'm just sitting there with like 13 clean stock. Because I'm just like slamming stock souls and stuff like that and triggering fairly clean because you get a top check basically whenever you want. To the point that like you get so compressed that you're usually always like 1 in 3 compression by like the second or by the third deck, right?
Yeah. The reason why I like Mari so much, and the reason why I'm just kind of like a big advocate of 3 colors in general, though, is because not only does it work so well, it gets power. It gets to like, what, 7k with a full field, right? Which is really respectable. On top of that, for whatever reason, they also decided to add the coin flip ability, which works with how you're going to be building the deck anyway, which is build it really top heavy. So what you're probably going to have like, what, maybe 18, 19 cards that are level 2 or higher. So over a third of your deck, and you will always get it bounced back to hand, so you can just do the bullshit again.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like this. I think that's one of the main reasons why you play tricolor. I think that card is so good.
Yeah, Mari is just so good. One thing that like I don't think we've ever talked about or really considered it a lot too, but Mari helps you play around like the Aqua reshufflers, or if you're playing against the Mirror, the Rico reshufflers, because there are a lot of games you actually set up where if you're top checking with Mari and you're seeing climaxes and you don't want to trigger the climax, you just throw it to the bottom of your deck. You can mill your deck to the point where it's almost down to the bottom, or let's say not even. Say you're out like 3 climaxes and a lot of cards, and you know for a fact you put like 3 climaxes to the bottom of your deck. Your opponent's just gonna be like, I'm gonna Aqua Free Fresh you, and now it's all good. It's such a weird like interaction between those cards. It can just like help you so much for like no reason, just because your opponent doesn't know what you're putting to the bottom of your deck.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to even say about Sunshine other than
it's a good deck? I think it's probably still the best deck in the format, honestly. It's probably tied with Konosuba for that spot.
Oh,
but...
no.
Oh, no.
Konosuba is just like modern Prillia.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
I mean, like, it has this really good top end that goes off. At least, I don't know. Kid doesn't like playing the 3-2 early play that, like, blows garbage up. So, like, maybe he can defend that choice, but then I just feel like if I can field something bigger than 7-5 or 7-5 or bigger, then I just stop clocking. And then their top end has to be even more disgusting to kill me. Which it is. It is very disgusting. But
So, I mean, like, Konosuba's top end is like, how do you put this? Like, sure, if you force them into that situation, fine, whatever. They just won't get the full combo off and won't like really kill you. But they can still drop down the 3-2 free play Megamine, play
sure,
the top check 3.
Expect the damage value. Sure, it is the most disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, they won't get to play Foreclosure, or they won't get to play Aqua, but they'll still they'll still mess you up.
I always play against it, and then like I'm always really confused because like I'll have the most garbage board. Like I'll be playing like something like something I remember a couple times in testing was like I was playing Kokoro combo, and my Kokoros were living after I killed the Unions, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I literally can't field anything that can kill 4K. So this is a really good set. Because they're like they put so much in the top end, and they have to like conserve so hard for it that like at times they literally just can't kill like garbage.
So I think the problem is they have this card called the level 0 Union. What is it, Ambush Union?
Yeah. I know
I always have playables, so I don't really care.
I know they always have playables, but like, damn, what deck in Modern Weiss is ever like, oh no, I don't have playables? Like, what deck realistically is ever struggling to put 3 cards on board that you need to like resonate every turn for? Because I think that's pretty unique, right? To Konosuba, where you have to mill 4 like twice a turn to have playables.
So the strongest thing about Union is like the deck manipulation, for sure.
Yeah, it has good deck manipulation. I'll give you that.
I can see an argument for that. The mid game of Konosuba doesn't really have a ton going on for it. like Dean said, I don't really play the early play Mega Man because I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it does enough. But I do play early play Aqua because I think
I loved it. I just want to say, I played against Konosuba with Skya. The guy had to Ricky with no targets in order to kill my level 0. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to get Union off.
oh man,
Oh, I remember that.
1-1 8Ks were unkillable to him. Whenever he did play the 3-2 early play, because it's only 9-5 on defense and the set plays no level supports, my 2-2 10-5 on reverse burn one was killing them. So it's like, it's kind of funny for like what a S tier deck is supposed to do, like how fragile the deck actually is.
I don't think it's as fragile as you think it is. Maybe it just
Well,
comes from not playing it itself. You always just playing against it. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, like it can continuously mill its deck. It can continuously field playables. It has a really disgusting top end, but I'd have to see the numbers on the top end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you do have ways to play around it a little bit. But I think if you're looking at as far as like like if we look at what our top tiers are, it does nothing against Sunshine, right? Not really. I mean, like it kind of does and it doesn't, right?
So I would say that's on a game by game basis and how that game's going.
So the thing about Sunshine, I guess, depending on build you're playing against, because a lot of people still advocate for the 2-soul build. Against Sunshine, I can farm Sunshine until level 3, and then against when they drop their early plays,
you have the counter.
Yeah, usually, or you have or other 2-1 like bottom deckers and stuff like that, and the darkness is the stock if you play yellow. But also at the same time, like the mid game for Konosuba is like the time where you kind of field shedders because you're just waiting and building up the stock to blow your load and kill them
to do your big thing.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of unique for Konosuba we need to remember too is that a lot of English players really like 8-gate build for whatever reason. I think it's like an okay build to choose to play. I'm still really like the.
So if we're talking about AK Konosuba, then I will say this is A tier. I'm not even willing to acknowledge that as S tier. Then.
Okay.
I think if you're playing AK just because you're scared of AOT, I
would say this much: it has like the best top end. I will not even begin to question like as far as like what can happen in a game. But my question is, like, how consistent is that, right? Because if you're saying S tier is what you want to see win a tournament, every time I've seen you specifically and, like, anyone else play Konosuba, it's like I just, like, look over and you're, like, high 3 to mid 3 and your opponent's, like, low 2 because of, like, how soon they got to stop clock drawing. Because of, like, how hard it was for you to, like, field good attackers at a certain point. And then you have this top end that just takes 15 damage, and you sometimes win. But if you don't, you lose. And that's pretty high rolly, right? Like, can we agree that, like, Konosuba, pretty high rolly? It's disgusting. But it'd be like...
It's high rolling, but I don't think you need to high roll as much as you're making it out to. If that makes sense.
English players never stop block drawing, so I could understand that.
You're right.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to argue like Konosuba not being S tier.
If it's an S tier, I will accept it because I do think the top end is really disgusting. But I just did want to point out that it's like mid game. That sucks.
Yeah, the mid game usually is pretty lackluster. You're kind of like wanting things unless you're playing early play Mega Man. Early play Mega Man does get some work in. Like I said, I kind of prefer playing the Aqua early play because I think the heal to stock is really good, and my top end for the most part is actually the set 1 Mega Man, so my hand size doesn't really matter at level 3 because I find everything I need off of cantrips like immediately. Let's be real. So
this is a true statement.
Yeah. So my game plan basically mid game is to just get a couple extra heals off, kind of like try to prolong the game there. And then move forward, field crappy cards that my opponent will kill because they have big cards that are more than 4,000 power. and then they leave a board there for me to clock kick everything. And then on the off chance that like I'm playing against AOT and I can't clock kick everything, I just have burn 5s and aqua shufflers and stuff like that. I think one thing if Konosuba is really good at is if your opponent's at 3-0 and you can play 3 set 1 Mega Man level 3s, climax combo using the Aqua Fumio effect where you reshuffle their deck with 2 less climaxes, like you almost win all those games. Like
you only need one of the burn force to stick at that point.
If one of the burn forces goes through, they just lose the game. And this happened so many times for me. And kind of like Dean was making out to be about high rolling. There are games too where I'm literally 3-3 and my opponent's 2-5 and I win. Whoa.
I think it's easier to kill from like 2-3 than this 3-5, 2-5.
Yeah. I was like, there's been a lot of games where I'm just like, wow, I'm in a commanding lead, and then I die or 2-3 to Konosuba, and I'm like, oh, all right, I guess.
No, but my only question was like the consistency of that. Like, is that consistent enough to win a 9-round tournament?
So
see, that's where my thing is. Because it's never like how disgusting is this set. It's like, can you win a 9-round tournament with this set?
All right. So one thing before when I was playing Konosuba in English, I didn't want to play the level 0 Aqua that goes to stock because I was greedy as hell. I've since changed my ways and realized that if I don't play this card, some matchups I just will lose because I'm too busy spending so much stock and not being able to generate enough stock because I'm not getting multiple unions off. Most of the time, like against bad matchups, you'll be able to get like 1 union off. But the level 0 Aqua that goes to stock is just really powerful in the consistency for making sure you have the stock and resources to be able to play your level 3 game the way you want to. I will concede that like the level 1 game is not strong enough to like contest wall decks like Persona 5 or something like that. It's the reason why like Persona 5 is like a really good wall deck. It's just like against decks like Konosuba and stuff, it just feels bad, man. When Konosuba plays against like 7k walls, and if I can't trade with you at least, then it's just like I get really sad. So
to kind of help with that though, if I can interrupt for a second, like it's not the worst feeling because Konosuba does run Suiciders, right? Yeah. So it's not the absolute worst feeling because you're still kind of like putting a little bit of hurt on your opponent, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah, you still pressure your opponent because you have those cards to reverse their level 1s. But it hurts your game plan that they did that. But like I said, adding the level 0 Aqua that goes to stock helps you a lot with that as well if you run into those matchups. I think the top end is like so good in English or in general that having a okay level 1 game makes up for that completely.
Okay.
You guys kind of agree with that or what?
Yeah. Like I said, I think for me it's top 2 decks. If we're trying to like force top 2 decks, I think Sunshine and Konosuba are the top 2 decks. But
I can probably agree with that, yeah.
Oh no, does this set suck or is this set good? I don't even know.
I don't know either.
Oh no.
All right. Okay, let's talk about the pros of Bank Dream in general. So you sit down against someone playing Bank Dream, you have no idea what they're actually playing until like the middle of the game, right?
Yep.
Until you see the climaxes, and even sometimes when you see the climaxes, you could be wrong, which is the sad part. That's normally I don't think that's like a really powerful thing about a deck, but you know, Bank Dream is just so wild on the variance of builds that you don't know how to mulligan against decks like this very well without seeing like more cards than like 2 cards, you know? Did you guys agree with that or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else is good about Bank Dream? We have uninteractive.
It's got stock swap Fumio.
It has basically stock
Fumio,
swap Fumio, yeah.
No, you can make it an actual Fumio. You have a card that like the screen card
Dean,
is really
please.
good. Yeah. Look, I'm just saying it's got a tool. It has the tools to do whatever it needs to do.
Yeah.
Except for
consistently kill people, even with double Yukino Musashi.
yeah, that's a pretty cool top end.
Feels bad, man.
I really don't know because I feel like every build gives up some aspect of gameplay that's important to do something, and it's like Man, I almost wanted to put in S tier, but then my green deck sucked. So,
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So yeah, Stock Swap Fumio is in this set basically.
You've got a really good array of finishers
yeah,
from your non-interactive. Like, if you just want to wall out your opponent, you can play Arsas, with like backed up by swimsuits. If you like interacting with your opponent for whatever reason in the English meta, you can play Yukina. You have access to Misaki.
There, you have Mocha.
Yeah. You also, the Kasumi level 3 is also not like the worst, just because it allows you to also run 8 gates.
Oh yeah,
it goes really well with the set 1 Kasumi also. So
yeah,
I don't.
And the second set Kasumi has what is it, modular damage. So if you look at your opponent's board and you're like, I need 3 to stick, discard a third event attack, and then burn for 3, swing in for 3, burn for 3, swing in for 3 is like really powerful. Just being able to choose your burns is like in a way really really good.
Yeah,
the card pool is absolutely fantastic. It wins like. It's like a big representation thing at regionals too, but I don't think you ever have to like really care too much about it, like when you build, because it's gonna do its thing like 90% of the time anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only time you start really caring about maybe playing around it is if they show they're running Arsa, or like when they go into their quote unquote kill turn.
Yeah.
Like you're wanting to like field shitters or just cards in general that like, for example, Yukina can't reverse properly and all that.
It's like zero game could be good. I mean, like nobody plays the Ricky, but you could play Ricky. Set has 2 Rickies.
Yeah. Well, I've been making the argument that I think you need to play the On Death Ricky now if you're playing the deck, but that's a whole different discussion. Either way.
I mean, but yeah, but that goes into its meta viability. I think it's S tier. I mean, just because of the rep. I mean, look at every top list. Every top team had Bang Dream on it.
Yep, pretty much.
And
then the new supports too helped green out a little bit. So Mocha is actually a little bit more like, I hate Mocha, but it's still a little bit more viable because you have like level 1s that get really big now that also come with gold bars. So you can get a little extra stock, which is the deck sometimes starves for stock because you want to do a lot of funky plays or play like, or you want to, what's it called, like brainstorm every turn and stuff like that, and just burn through your stock as much as possible. The deck's mid game. Most of them have like pretty solid mid games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what does that have at mid game? We have like clock early play killers, which is really good, which also has an alarm that gets you free stock as well.
If you're running the event list, you have this 2/1 that's a suicider against early plays, and also pumps absurd numbers to a different.
That Remy is like super value. Like whenever I make the arguments, like you should be playing the 9 event list.
You just say this level 0 is at 12k power now. Good luck.
Yeah, have you ever seen level 1 Kasumi and a 2/1 Rumi kill Sunshine's early plays? Because
it's the saddest thing in the world. Yeah,
it happens very often. It's just like another one of those decks that just has a lot of cool tools that can play around like the game state and everything like that. Finishing turn, it has some powerful moves as well. Like we said, the Fumio, Stock Swap, what is it, like the Lucky Bread event and Arista level 3. Yeah.
Well, even then, if you want to interact with your opponent, Yukina, if you're playing Yukina, you are for sure 100% running the 2/1 support that at least turns off counters and events in one lane. So you're more or less guaranteed at least one reverse. So.
So, all right, we jerked off Bang Dream a lot. Let's at least talk about some of its like cons of playing the deck before we just throw it in S tier.
Level 0 sucks.
The level 2 is also kind of a lot of the time.
It has 18Ks at level 2. What are you talking about?
I think if you're playing Remy and stuff, at 2 it's really really good. Arisa is like spooky as well.
Yeah, I think the big problem with the deck is it never keeps board, or you're never expecting to keep board, which is kind of really sad.
That is what I was like talking about whenever I when I decided to go to P5 last fall. Is I was like, dude, every time I play, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your hand is. All right, that's the problem. It doesn't matter if you have 7 cards in hand. You have to clock draw because you need the climax every turn. Like the turn you don't find a climax to slam is the turn you've lost half of your hand.
Just brainstorm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Draw a clock. Brainstorm. It's the future.
You see, you had the clock.
Oh yeah, that's right.
With some of your other decks, you look at your hand and you're like, I don't have to clock draw. I don't even have to climax the combo, but I really don't care. Like I
Yeah,
can go
I
down
really
to a
love playing
5-card hand.
Sunshine. Having a 3 or 4 card hand and being like, I still don't need a clock this turn.
Yeah, like that is like an actual weakness of the deck, and it always I always think it's gonna kill me, but it never does. Famous last words.
Yeah.
Time to get some losses won with the deck, but
Also, another thing is the level 1 combo. If you play Kasumi level 1 with the events, is the most unforgiving crap ever. If you look at your deck and you're like, I only have 20 cards left in my deck, and there are 0 events in my waiting room. How could this be?
yeah, you can't play the game. You're right.
Yeah.
You literally look at your opponent, you go, good game. You want to go to game 2?
Yeah, a lot of the games I lost with it when last year, whereas they'd swing in, I'd look down at my clock and I'd be like, 2 events just went to clock, and I'm now 1-3, and I'm going into my level 1 turn, and I look at my waiting room, no events. All right, maybe I can brainstorm and one will fall in there. Nothing there. All right, boys.
This is why you play the Kokoro. That's why Dean advocates the Kokoro level 0 or level 1.
Kokoro is the strongest. That package is broken. However, you also sacrifice a lot by doing it. But it's it's pretty disgusting.
That's one of the weaknesses of Bang Dream is you have to be pretty much not making that many mistakes because you surrender board every turn for your opponent. So literally any set on this list can farm Bang Dream at level 1 and beyond until level 3, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, so
it depends on the build.
Yeah, you're just giving them free combos, free reverses, and everything, and they don't really have to worry that much. The other side, flip coin of that, is if you are playing Yukina, most people will just kill your Kasumi because they don't have anything smaller than 4K in their hand, right?
4/5
or 4/5, yeah. I guess they could technically field level 0s, but a lot of times you put people in positions where
these are English players, sir. Yeah. Nobody plays around anything. No fear.
You're right.
All the time. How did I die?
Yeah.
I think it's surrendering board is a thing, and the fact you always have to have a climax because your hand falls apart so fast in that deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say about Bang Dream? I guess because I think we're kind of all in agreement. It's the bottom of S tier.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And there we have it.
We've done it, boys.
Completed tier list.
Yeah. No, we're all in agreement with pretty much everything here, right? Nothing we really want to change around.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. Dang, there was a question I was thinking, and I wanted to ask you guys, but I forgot what it was going to be, right at the end. Well, I guess that's that then. Whatever.
Oh, is it? What are we bringing to BCS?
No. I already know what you guys are bringing. Garbage, because I'm going to win every event I go to.
Nice try, buddy.
Oh, man. Yeah, I guess this is our tier list. Feel free to tell us how wrong we are in the comments below, right?
Yeah, everybody, please bring Konosuba. No, wait, that sounds... I can't handle that. Too much stress.
You're gonna have an aneurysm by the end of the event.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's weird. Konosuba, it's I would never want to take it if I wanted to win, but I would never want to see it every round.
Oh man. Yeah, you guys have any other closing thoughts or words? Is that it? What about you, Nico? Anything?
We need a ban list stat.
Please.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would love them to release. Oh, you okay?
Hold on. Legit question.
Ban list time? Yes.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Continue, Kit.
Wait, me?
Yeah, you were saying something.
I already forgot because I thought Nico was gonna say something.
Oh yeah, dude. So we can all agree Batman Ninja would be S tier if Gorilla Grodd infiltration ban. What do you mean no?
It'd be A tier. That's the sad thing. It wouldn't even be S tier. It would be next to GGO.
Yeah. It'd be like, yeah, that's like the sad part. It'd be like top of B, bottom of A, I think.
That cover wasn't even enough to carry it that much.
Yeah.
They just had to like.
They neutered that set like so fast. Well, it's kind of their fault for printing bad cards, but that's a whole different discussion as well. But how spooked do you think everyone would be if like they released the ban list and hit AOT? Like, you think the community would go into like panic mode? Because I mean, Sunshine should get hit, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see.
I think since we have it available now, we may as well use it. If anything, just to maybe spice up the meta a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of like what we stated earlier, maybe we could lift some of those like deck building considerations, being like, man, I really have to build around Aaron and anti.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. All right. Before we go, final questions for you guys is what if we ended up adopting what they do in Japan for their top cuts? So for those that aren't aware, the Japanese tournaments are ran best of one until there's only one, I believe until there's 7 or less undefeated. They cut to top 16. So the top, all the undefeated people automatically make it into top 16. Then everyone below that's X and 1, they pick sets to put into top 16 that aren't already in top 16. Does that make sense? Am I saying this correctly?
Well, we don't have enough sets for that, but
well, what if they?
It would be like variants, right?
Yeah. So basically, they kind of like force a little variance. So like if you're playing, let's say like Disgaea for Dean, and you go X and 1, you're gonna be in the top cut because of it. I could see them doing this in English, but instead of doing top 16 cut, it would still be top 8. But they would fill out top 8, like the bottom 4 slots of top 8, through the top 16 placements. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Do you think that would change like people playing AOT and stuff, or
no?
What do you think? No,
I don't think so.
I mean, a lot of people with AOT will go X1 and just not make it. It would be really funny.
It would be really funny. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. Like we do need something to shake up the meta, because it's like I said, AOT. I don't even think should be making these top tables every time, but it's just because it is. I think it's like an A tier deck, but because like 20% of the room comes in with it, of course it gets like top 8s continuously.
Yeah, I think one thing about AOT too is like a lot of the strong, prominent members of the community. They've always been shilling AOT and kind of never. I feel like they've never really gone past that, and because there's never been a reason to think outside of AOT, so they just always pick AOT like as their deck to go to. So we already have good players playing a deck we kind of all agree is A or S tier. So it's always gonna get like good get the top cut slots and everything like that. Because I've played against a lot of bad players who've play OT and they kind of just lose. Like, but the good players who play OT, it's like, ooh, they play very solid. They make almost no mistakes, and those games are always tough.
But a lot of things though is like those players could be playing like anything, and it would be spooky though, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
like the thing.
Yeah. Okay. Any last final words then? Take that silence as a no. All right, guys.
Free my boy Grodd. Free him.
Oh, Grodd for 2020, boys. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next video. I think the next discussion video we're gonna have is something that's been like requested nonstop for a long time, and we're finally doing it, which is gonna be. It might be a really long video just because we never talk about it, but it's going to be on the Japanese meta and our thoughts on it and kind of like the tier placement for that. Once the ban list comes out, I think it comes out in like 5 days or something. Do you guys remember what day it comes out on?
Is it like 24th or something? 23rd?
23rd? Oh, this Friday? Yeah, so after this weekend, we'll probably have next week we'll have a recording up if we can all find time.
We can do it in the hotel. Easy.
Yeah, we'll just do it in the hotel. Screw it. All right, other than that, guys, I hope to see you guys all in the next video later. Oh wait,
see ya.